even retirement planning. Some people, they don't want to, find out that they don't have enough money to retire.
Sure.
They don't want to know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone that's got a pain in their side, they don't want to go to the doctor because they're afraid it's cancer or something. So I just like getting people to think when it comes to financial planning and estate planning, tax planning, long-term care planning, you got to kind of, in some cases, if you're afraid, like Joyce Meyer's book, Do It Afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Do it afraid. Yes, you might not like it. You may be afraid to share information or to think about these, tough subjects, but you got to do it.
Sure.
And it's not for your sake, for your family's sake.
Right.
Welcome to today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Anchored in family values, Wayne offers practical advice to help you get the most out of your retirement years. For more information, visit today'sretirees.com. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. We have a question for you today. Are you afraid? And fear sometimes can be a good motivating factor, but we don't want to really be afraid, do we, Wayne?
Well, it depends of what. It could be a stifling factor also.
It can be. But sometimes, we like I said, fear can be a motivating factor, but sometimes it can be a paralyzing. And you don't get anything done because you're afraid.
Like with me, man, a lot of people know, I don't know if the listeners or viewers know, but I'm afraid of flying. And it paralyzes me. It keeps me from doing certain things.
Sure. That's why he wears a car out every 3 years, because
Right.
he's running back and forth to Florida instead of flying back.
$30,000 a year, at least. And that's right. I mean, it costs time, and it's just, I know I shouldn't be afraid of flying, but I've flown probably 3 dozen times, but every time I think I'm going to die. It's crazy. So, that's an issue for me, and I'm working on it. And I wrote in my newsletter this last month about the book I'm reading. I'm not done with it yet. Joyce Meyer's.
Sure.
So she wrote a book recently called Do It Afraid.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a pretty good book, and it got me to do what I was talking to you about off air. This last trip I went to L.A. and then Montana, and that flew 4 times in a year, and I flew the month before, and I haven't flown in 2 years or so since that.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, another 2 years. So it keeps me from doing things. And I started thinking about people and their planning.
Mm-hmm.
Their estate planning, their financial planning, life insurance stuff, disability planning, long-term care planning, and how some folks are afraid to do that stuff.
Sure.
They're also afraid in other ways. Like I had a lady come in this week. It was a referral. Someone referred her to me. And, I have to learn about, she had 150, 200,000, just want to do investing. Okay. But I have to do my due diligence.
Sure.
To learn what is this person? What's her family makeup? What's the history? All that stuff. So, I'd ask her things like, is she married?
Mm-hmm.
Right? She divorced? If she's divorced, when did you get divorced? How long were you married? These things are important for certain benefits, Social Security benefits, and that type of thing. You have any kids, right? Whose kids are they? Your kids, joint kids, kids from stuff like that. And you can tell she was a little uncomfortable, but you need to know this stuff as a financial planner and as someone that's going to give someone advice on what to do with their money.
Mm-hmm.
And do they have any upcoming expenses? What kind of debt do they have? What kind of cash flow? How much do they have in checking accounts?
Mm-hmm.
She didn't like that. She's like, I don't know if I'm that comfortable with, So not wanting someone that's going to give you financial planning and investment advice to know how much is in your checking or savings account or other investments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if, they're afraid of sharing this personal information or if they're embarrassed of it or what, but it may stop some people from getting professional help, not wanting or being afraid to share information that's personal like that. But how are you going to get help with your investing and planning and that if you don't do it?
Sure. Well, but there's, you have a long track record, and as a certified financial planner, there's certain standards that you have to meet. I would think, and this is supposition totally on my part, but you hear of the Bernie Madoffs of the world who scam people out of millions. So there's probably a healthy apprehension to say, okay, but at the same time, when you go to like yourself, a certified financial planner, there's certain safeguards that you have in place as well.
Well, not only as a certified financial planner, those are more stringent than just the regular licensing stuff. But we have to do what's called AML training regularly. I don't know if it's every year or every 2 years. I think every 2 years, but anti-money laundering, right? We also have to do ethics courses every year or two and pass these tests. And these ethics courses and the anti-money laundering courses, a lot of them focus or one of the factors in both of these programs is know your client, right? That you need to know your client. You need to know about them and a lot about them. You just can't take money and invest it. Sure. You just can't give someone a retirement advice or income advice, income planning or tax planning, if you don't know their client. And some people are afraid to share that information. That's like going to your doctor and, hey, what kind of meds are you on? Well, I really don't want you to know I'm on a schizophrenic pill or something like that.
Right.
You don't want to share that with them, but you have to, right? And it's the same when you're doing retirement planning, financial planning.
Sure. And I get some, and you mentioned in a previous show about a financial document that was that thick, and I've seen those, and only a few select people can understand them or know how to read them.
Yeah, if someone if we meet, and I'll meet with clients, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, or if they're client, before they become a client. If they're clients, we meet regularly, sometimes twice a year, 3 times a year, once a year. But I'm not one of those people that gather all the data and have all the meetings and then give them a thick book like that, because where it goes, in the drawer. Right. And it's probably never opened again unless they're a very particular engineer or something like that. And that's, people don't like that. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's worthless because they're going to get no help from that financial plan that's this thick, that's buried in their drawer. So I do things a little differently, very laid back, very together with the clients, and we're all on the same page. A lot of whiteboard in the meetings, where I explain things on the whiteboard, and then the whiteboard's copied for their files so we could refer to it in upcoming or future meetings too.
Sure.
So it's a fun process. I mean, I think most of my clients, 90% of them, just enjoy it because they finally feel good about getting their house in order.
And you have alleviated some of the fear. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. Go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com. On that website, there's his YouTube channel. There's a link to that. You can watch these shows in the past and certain topics. And if you're curious about certain things, there's a lot of it is there. But you can also pick up the phone at 866-626-3990 and set up an appointment and go in and talk to Wayne and get your own financial plan. We'll be back right after this.
We've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account. certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find a independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
Welcome back to today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. In our previous segment and on this program, we're talking about fear or afraid. And we talked a little bit about, when we started out, putting that financial plan together and how to do that. And are you afraid of sharing some of your personal information with your financial planner? And what you were saying, and it makes sense, if you don't know the person and the family makeup and what their goals are and what their
how much money they have,
what their finances look like,
right.
It's hard to help someone if you don't have all the information.
Yeah, and I even, we talk about the expense sheet, and I have clients go over their expenses over the past 12 months, and some people are afraid or embarrassed, for certain things, like their alcohol bill or their shopping bill or whatever, their hobby bill or their Amazon bill, But it gets even more interesting when we get into other areas of planning, like long-term care planning, nursing home planning. How are we going to take care of that? Are we going to spend down and go on welfare? Are we going to do Medicaid trusts? Are we going to get insurances to cover that stuff? Are we going to roll the dice? And people don't like talking. It's kind of scary.
Sure.
Some people, they don't like talking about life insurance. They think if they get life insurance or if they make out a will, they're going to die. Right? They do. I mean, there's some people that just feel that way, and because of that, they never do it. They're afraid that if they start addressing that subject, that means they're going to die. So we that's not the case, but just like with me, my fear of flying, all the odds, all the statistics know if I get on a plane, it's going to land safely somewhere, wherever I'm going, right? But it's still in my mind that I think I'm going to die because the fear of, God put that in me, right? That I have a fear of flying so I don't die in a plane crash, but I know that's not the case. But it's the same when you're doing planning and talking about these scary things in like even retirement planning. Some people, they don't want to, find out that they don't have enough money to retire.
Sure.
Right? They don't want to know the answer. Like someone that's got a pain in their side, they don't want to go to the doctor because they're afraid it's cancer or something. So I just like getting people to think when it comes to financial planning and estate planning, tax planning, long-term care planning, you got to kind of, in some cases, if you're afraid, like Joyce Meyer's book, Do It Afraid. Do it afraid. Yes, you might not like it. You may be afraid to share information or to think about these, tough subjects, but you got to do it.
Sure.
And if not for your sake, for your family's sake.
Right. Because at some point, we're all going to pass on.
We are.
And unless the Lord comes back,
right.
But it can be maybe intimidating because you don't know what to do. And that's where you come in.
Some people don't want to look stupid, right? Or some people come in and say, we have no idea what we're doing, or we want to see what
But isn't that kind of a good place to start? Because you can, I don't know anything, help me.
Right. Yeah, and that's, most people that come in, I think, are like that. They're smart people, and they make money, and they saved a lot, but it's like, now what? Now, I've been working, been doing what I'm supposed to, saving. Now I'm going to retire soon, or I just retired, or I just sold my business. I really don't know what to do because I'm not used to this type type of thing.
Right, everything's different.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle is probably going to change a little bit,
Sometimes, yeah.
unless those folks like myself who have no retirement plan. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that Wayne has helped me a lot put together a retirement plan, but what I'm saying is I don't plan to retire.
Right. I'm the same way. I mean, I like what I do, and
Right.
you plan for the ability to retire if for some reason you can't work anymore.
Sure.
But if you like working, there's no reason to stop if you can work your schedule around your profession or your job. Where you still have time to do the things you love.
Sure.
But you still like helping people. In certain areas of things.
Right. So if a person has like you're saying, the long-term care, life insurance, and they have that fear, and or the insecurity, whatever term we want to put on there, when they come in, how do you help them overcome that as they work through the process?
Well, it's something you just don't know, really. I mean, they're not going to make an appointment and say, I've been afraid to come in and plan, so I'm, you just don't know. But I've been doing this for 27, 28 years, and just by working with people, talking with them, having them tell me why they came in, and, you figure it out. Or you just know from experience, and like the lady in the first segment, where she didn't want to give me personal information, and I don't know why. She was embarrassed. If she didn't want me to know, she's got a couple $100,000 to invest. You would want your advisor to know enough about you to be able to make good recommendations.
Sure.
Even if you want something like a fixed annuity, that's paying 4 or 5% right now, 4.5%, 4.6%, 4.7%. That's great. But if she says, "Hey, I like that," I still have to ask those questions, because products like that can be illiquid. You can't get your money. So I wouldn't want to stick someone in there for 5 years or 4 years, and now she needs money in 2 years, and she's going to pay a big penalty to get what she needs because we put all of her money in something that's tied up. So that's why we have to do and ask all these things. You may think it may seem invading, but it's necessary.
Sure. And these are the things, as you get through your fears, to work with your financial planner. There's a lot of, just from my experience, there's a lot of things that and you think of that as the client, we don't know.
You'll never think of them because you're not familiar with that.
Exactly.
It's just the way it is.
So you help get past, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about long-term or estate planning, a little bit, how that Wayne, I'll just share an experience that we've had with Wayne, and when we get back, but in the meantime, you set up an appointment with Wayne at 866-626-3990. I'll run over again. We'll be back right after this.
Certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find a independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
And welcome back to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Today we're talking about doing it afraid. Even though you're afraid of what you're going into, you need to do it anyway because it's the right thing to do for your family. You know, I was reading a book, I forget, one of the generals from World War II was right. He said when most people go into battle, they're scared, which would make sense.
Yeah.
You know, he said, but the brave do it anyway.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you're afraid,
Right.
Because and we've seen and probably talked to people and read stories of folks. You know, I know a man who's passed on now who was on Guadalcanal in the South Pacific back during World War II, and he would tell just horror stories
Yeah.
of what took place. But you did it anyway.
I've had clients, Vietnam era, and I remember one fellow was telling me, it's kind of off subject, but it's interesting. He said, that you could be a little scrawny guy or, the star state running back, champion or whatever, and you'd be fighting or doing whatever, and you'd run by that state champ, and he'd be shot right next to you, right? And then he'd have bullet holes through his clothing, wouldn't hit, so.
Right.
And this one guy got a silver star he's like one of, a couple people that made it out.
Wow.
But yeah, but they did it afraid. They had no choice. But
Right.
some do. They'll quit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, as Wayne has talked about this, putting together a plan and working the plan, because I told you I would tell you a little personal story, but you had us, my wife and I, look at our situation from a perspective that we weren't able to see because we had never been there.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I like about working with a certified financial planner and working with Wayne is he's got the experience to show you all these various angles, and he doesn't tell you what to do, which sometimes can be a little fearful because you don't know what to do.
And if you make a lot of money on my advice, I don't charge a fee for like a commission or a sales. I'm still waiting on that.
He's still waiting on that. No.
But
how does it feel to wait?
hey, that's what I do. You help people, and some people you're not the only person I've given similar advice to.
Sure.
But this was years ago too, folks. But you have to take action and actually do it. I'm telling my son right now, he's looking for work. Walk into businesses, professions you have interest in. Walk in, knock on the door. Just don't do LinkedIn or look at want ads. Get in your car, park it, and walk.
Yes.
That's your job while you don't have a job.
Right.
Does he do it? No. But because of fear, really. And this is my middle son. That's wrestler, boxer. He has many fights in the ring with, audiences and stuff. He's afraid to walk into business.
Yeah.
So people, and I'm going to give you one last area of being afraid that can be the most paralyzing or stifling. And that is having, retired older couples with family splitting up the valuables. The ring, the wedding ring, the guns, the jewelry, sentimental items in the family.
Sure.
If they have multiple kids or grandkids, who gets what. And it can be a big issue for families, and they're afraid to make those decisions or don't want to. So then when mom and dad end up passing away, these things are left there for the family to figure it out.
Sure.
Or the executor, and then the executor, may make decisions the other family members don't like, and it could be a family feud. And because the parents don't want to offend or upset any of their kids or certain ones, they never spell out who gets what.
Sure.
And another scenario that keeps people from planning is if they have kids from previous marriages, maybe they're on a second or third marriage, and they may have an odd number of kids, like one spouse has 3, the other has 2. Or let's say one has 3, one has 1, right? And do they split it up 25% for each kid? Or does the one kid get 50% and the other three split 50%?
Sure.
Okay? And it's an issue.
Absolutely.
And
I can see that.
spouses are afraid they're going to get in an argument or that they're going to, cause friction, saying if they strongly believe, hey, I have one kid, but I got half the money, my kid should get half the money, not your three kids, getting a quarter each, right? So things like that causes people not to come in and do the planning, the estate, the wills, the trust, the financial stuff, because of those things. They're just afraid. So there's many areas in here where people can be afraid to not take action. And I just try and tell them, you just get to man up, woman up, do it afraid, come in and do what you should do.
Right. I mean, I've had two people in the last probably 3 years had a parent pass away, and these folks have said, don't do to your kids what our parents did to us, because it's a mess.
Yeah, and there's people like me out here telling you, come in, I'll help you through this stuff.
Right, and that's the nice thing. But even though you're nervous, you're afraid, you don't know what to do, this is the thing that Wayne helps you go through the path, and he's not going to. From my experience, he's not going to tell you how to do it. He's going to give you the options and show you what the options are and then let you make a decision.
Or multiple decisions.
Yes.
Yeah. Different people have things that are more important than other things. Some people want to make as much as they can in the market. Some people want to not lose and have money safe. Some people want to make sure their grandkids are taken care of. Others want to make sure their kids are taken care of. So everyone's different. They got to take the time, make the drive in, a few times, spend an hour with me each time. And they'll get, even the first meeting, they'll get so much value for free, no charge, that they'll be glad they come in. I mean, that's my experience.
Sure. Well, friends, that's all the time that we have. Take the time and set up an appointment with Wayne. Like you said, the first meeting is all free.
They're all free.
They're
all the meetings are no charge.
Right.
Yeah, they're but if we're not going to be a good fit, they won't go to a second or third meeting.
Sure.
So, but yeah, anytime somebody meets with me, they're not writing me a check.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take the time and set up that appointment at 866-626-3990. We'll see you the next time.
Thanks for tuning in to today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management, family-focused retirement and tax planning services, anchored in family values. Information and opinions discussed on today's Retirees do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station. Opinions expressed should not be substituted for individualized consultation with a qualified financial advisor. For specific information, call 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.